Welcome, guys. What's up? Another Saturday, another stream, beginning of the month. How are you guys doing? How was your week? I hope everything was good. It's a busy week with non-farm payroll, Bank of England, and so on. We may actually have created a bottom, maybe on the euro and then on the pound. We'll see. On the dollar as well, as you can see in here, we have at least a little bit of a reversal or some kind of retracement at least. That happened on Thursday. It was a bit due, like after such a big momentum to the upside for the last 2-3 weeks, and we are getting close, or we were getting close to this level in there. So that's kind of how we were positioning ourselves. To be honest, myself, I was looking for price to get a little bit higher before the move to the downside. I didn't really like the way price actually moved away from this level, even though they already had this high in here to fake out. So that part was already good. Of course, we had the bigger one in there, and we are getting closer to this level. So it could indeed happen in there. I just didn't really like the way price created all this structure in here. Yeah, I was waiting for a little bit more of an extra leg up before the move down. Then with NFP, that's yeah, just follow through, continuation here to the downside. Yesterday, a bit similar on the euro. It was okay where the zone on the euro reacted from. Even the PA, it's a little bit different. But there was still maybe the possibility also of going a bit lower before the turn. All right, next week it's mostly CPI as the big news event. It's going to be on Thursday, so we'll see what's going to happen by then. Yeah, so what happened, right? So just basically the continuation to the upside. That was a little bit expected, since we're looking for price to get again, as I mentioned, closer to this top in there. It wouldn't really make sense to just stop in here and kind of move to the downside. So we had that kind of a zone 3 type of a move of compression until kind of we went there. As a target, maybe the bottom of this could be, or even going a little bit lower, can also be as a potential target in here. Price basically already started to reverse yesterday in the evening, last days of the trading session. Price moved slightly to the upside in there. But yes, I think maybe a little bit lower could be a possibility before continue to move higher. Yeah, and then we'll see what's going to happen between these two levels. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of this double bottom. Yeah, if by any chance price will use something in here and start moving to the downside, something that I'll be looking at for this week. Like dollar hasn't really been the most active of the charts. Yes, during the beginning on Monday, maybe Monday, Tuesday, there was maybe a good move to the upside, but then literally a little bit of a range in there. But maybe other assets, for example, the indices or even oil, that maybe have provided better opportunities in the market during the week than the dollar or the euro in this case. Yeah, so that's a little bit of what we're looking for in here. Maybe a little bit more of a back to downside, just to see how price is going to react from this level. If it starts breaking below that, then of course looking even further down, or if you're going to respect something in here and kind of aim a little bit higher, again, there's still the potential to go a little bit to fake out this highs in here, or by any chance still respect something in here and go down. That's a little bit of what I'll be looking for this week. Are we going eventually to target these lows again? We'll see. Are we still kind of within this range, and our price kind of respected it and still aiming towards the upper edge in there? Yeah, perhaps that can be also something in place on the dollar in here. Yeah, so we'll see what's going to happen. In short, just literally the thought process has been when you saw the move to downside, yes, I was even looking for price to maybe fake out this level. As soon as it started moving upwards, start breaking these highs, we start aiming for price at least to go through test this level in there, or even in here. And then price will make a decision there, either kind of start to show some bearishness in here, or the opposite will happen, which would be actually is going to use now that level as a zone of support, as a potential long in that scenario. And that's kind of what happened. So then we start targeting these levels in there. Like that's basically what we've been looking for on the dollar. And now that you are here, or that you got really close to here, yeah, we will no longer looking for longs, kind of start positioning as a potential move to downside. And now that you're again back in the middle, yeah, it's going to be wait and see if this happens or the opposite starts happening in there. In short, that's kind of how we've been looking at the dollar in this case. Looking at the indices, S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, like they had a really sell-off yesterday, just like the last couple of hours of the trading session. Again, S&P is reacting from a really good zone, NASDAQ is reacting from a really good zone, Dow is reacting from a really good zone. Like, and that has been something that we mentioned last week or the last couple of weeks. Like, if you have been noticing the move to the upside on NASDAQ, S&P, and so on, all the way since maybe beginning of April, since resumed this level here, end of April, we could have seen that NASDAQ was leading literally. Like, NASDAQ was literally ahead of what the S&P was doing. Like, and the S&P in this case was lagging comparing with what NASDAQ was doing. What we noticed then in the last maybe 1 month or so, and a few weeks before actually kind of start having this level, is that S&P recovered some of that lagging move, and it started being actually almost in alignment. Like, they may not be reacting exactly from the same level on the left side from this move down back at the beginning of last year, but they got kind of really close to an important level, both of them kind of almost at the same time. Like, and that's one of the big clues as well when you are looking for big reversals in the market, or potential big reversal in the market. That's something that you want to pay attention to, is if they are actually in alignment as well. These big correlated assets, if they are in alignment or not, before even looking for that reversal. Because if they are not in alignment, maybe that's still not the moment to expect a deep retracement. Maybe it's just going to be just a small retracement in 1 or 2 trading sessions, and then a continuation to the upside, and then a continuation to the upside. Right? So that would be a tip in here that they could share in order to identify these big reversals. Again, then the approach, of course, something that we have been talking about for so long, like the approach towards a specific zone matters as well, to show that weakness, to show that actual price is starting to show signs of reversal. Otherwise, price is still not going to reverse, even if it's maybe reacting from a good level. Maybe that's still not going to be the moment. And in this particular case, we start having that level, we start breaking lows, for example. We have a lot of compression here and there. So we start to notice exactly that. Like, but that's basically what we are looking for this week. Or since maybe the last couple of weeks. That's more on NASDAQ. We also, what did we also mention? Like, we also mentioned that S&P, I think when it created this high, there was a high probability that would still kind of create a new high. Like, maybe this wouldn't be the high. We could see that price had respected that level in there. Like, was already taken straight away, this detail in there, like from the highs. So that those orders were not there in order to kind of hold it as a double top. And price actually kind of reacted a little bit from a good level, and then as a consequence we would still have a next high. Another reason it was the level in here was actually still fresh in that particular zone. Like, price was basically in the first instance it was reacting from this high, if not mistaken. Like, that's kind of where it was, and the zone above was literally still fresh in there, a little bit more in alignment than with those highs. So there was still that chance of going higher. And that's what we mentioned when price was somewhere in here, that there's a high probability that there's going to be a new high on the S&P, while we also mentioned that on NASDAQ, that's not the case. Like, NASDAQ, it looked like the high was already reacting from a good level, and and there was still fresh orders kind of close to the highs that didn't really need to create new high. Well, on the S&P, that has been done already. Right, so again, consequence of that, then to this week, middle of the week, kind of we had that that move, and of course, maybe the catalyst or one of the catalysts, it was what happened with the Fitch reducing the credit rating in the US from AAA to AA, and therefore that maybe have been one of the big catalysts also to push price to the downside. Like it's this gap that's happening here at the closing Wednesday, if not mistaken, and then kind of Thursday just sell off. And then yesterday, it was that sell-off as well at the end of the session, interesting enough, in there. Like, so that's kind of what we had. It was a good level in there on the S&P. Again, the PA, even in approach towards that level as well, is quite good. And then we have the turn happening in there. Like, so continuation, yeah, most likely, just as a first initial target, just to even pay attention to, of course, it will be the end of this compression, right? We broke into this compression, therefore we're looking for price to eventually get to the other edge of the compression, and this is basically where price actually closed yesterday, with the potential even to take these lows and now kind of getting closer a little bit more to that level. Something that you can see in here as well is basically we managed to break now. Initially kind of respected a little bit, but now we properly broke maybe this trend line. Again, it means whatever it means, like maybe you don't even look at trend lines. Some other traders do, so it's maybe something also to keep an eye on. Even how to manipulate the people that actually look for maybe the reversal in here, maybe can actually maybe go a bit higher and even take stop loss from the people that are looking to sell in here, to look for that side, right? So again, use whatever you use to do your own analysis. But yes, something that to look for sure. It will be for sure to see how price is going to get there. That's kind of a little bit of where I presume that price may want to. And then, of course, we may continue to go even farther down. Maybe to test this level. Maybe this level in here can still work as well. Again, that can be also in alignment with that trend line, which is kind of this retesting here. We kind of had our destruction. We had that move. Price kind of dropped in a quite aggressive way without looking back. So there may be still orders that are in there. The price can still use it for another sell in there, which then could push or continue to push S&P more to the downside, eventually even aiming towards towards this level in there. So that's something to keep an eye on. Like again, in terms of big reversals, it's a lot about patience, but it's a lot about even exactly noticing these different situations that can occur. The approach towards a level. The level itself on the left side is something that you need to be aware of. And even when you start then look into the correlation within the markets to actually see if they are close to each other, right? If there is not a big difference between one asset being completely leading or another being completely lagging. Another example that I can give is exactly what happened last year in August. Like if you pay attention to what happened in August last year, it was in here, right? You can notice. Just check the moves on S&P and NASDAQ in here, right? It was one also leading comparing with the other one. Now I don't even remember which one was leading in that moment. 1 second, let me just go back. For example, August, 1st of August, and 5th, 8th. Where are we again? Yeah, can you see that? Second, sorry guys, one more time. Yeah, basically on the 5th and 8th, like can you see in here, the beginning of August, 4th, 5th, 8th, something like that. Price is already kind of reacting a little bit from this level, and S&P is basically still kind of reacting from here. Right? It's a big difference in here until eventually both of them finally got close to each other, and both of them kind of fake out this triple top before then the sell-off that occurred, right? Which then happened maybe at around the same time, around maybe the 16th of August or something like that, right? Maybe again, maybe some small nuances in there. But you could see that NASDAQ was leading as well in this particular case, if not mistaken, in August, until then S&P catch up with it, Like as you can see in here, like 8th of August and stuff like that, price is still reacting from this level, and NASDAQ was already reacting from here. Like, and S&P is still reacting from here until finally, there you go. There is a move. There's then that 16th of August where price actually takes this triple top, just the same as the S&P, and then we have this the sell-off. Now they are in alignment. Now they both kind of reacted from basically the same level in this particular case. They fake out this triple top in there, and then basically they are ready to turn at this point. But before that, basically it was always NASDAQ leading the way and S&P lagging until all of a sudden there's a acceleration in here, whatever reason it is, that NASDAQ kind of ranges a little bit more, and the S&P now accelerates more, and then does what it does, and then now both of them are together and they can turn. Like again, this is just another example exactly what happened last year in this particular case of the correlation and catching up with each other in that sense before maybe a turn in the market. So again, like this is by the way, let me know in the comments if you do even pay attention to this when you are doing your analysis, and if it's something that you take into consideration when maybe looking for big reversals, or maybe just a small reversal, because this then helps also in terms of the expectation of maybe looking for if this is a top, if not it's a top, if it's just a small retracement before a continuation to the upside, and so on and so forth. Like and then of course we never really know if that's going to be when price is in here. I'm not sure if it makes sense. It's a good level. Everything else is kind of goes a little bit in alignment, but of course the reaction still needs to happen. Like price moving away, price not taking the order straight away from that level as it goes down, like it happening there, as I mentioned, like price actually leaving the zones behind, so then it can retrace back to the level and use it as a sell again. Like, so that's important as well to notice. And there are maybe some other factors as well that you can look into it when looking for this type of setups. All right, moving on. Like enough with this tips about big reversals in the market. Like then it's about patience as well. So again, this is what we had on the S&P, NASDAQ, sorry. Again, the level itself is really good as well. Like it's basically the same. It's actually in this particular case, it's basically the same structure, because it's the one that we have kind of this left shoulder, and you have the head of the zone, and then price reacting from that level. It's basically the same zone on the S&P as well. Then we have maybe the zone above it that's still that price eventually can go there, and you still have that level exactly on the S&P as well. And this is what we had as well. And so this is what we talked about, like that on the S&P, on the NASDAQ in this particular case, there was still zones in here that price could even react. Price could even go a bit higher and still kind of go to that extreme, because there may be still orders in there before the sell-off. Like in this particular case, it's just fake out slightly this level and then move to the downside. Well, we mentioned that was maybe last week or 2 weeks ago as well, that this can be an interesting level. Like we have this previous level of structure in here quite a few times, and price is literally now reacting from it. Like we talked about it, that there was a specific candle in there, kind of a combination of candles. So when it broke that level, that price was kind of reacting, basically that high reacted from it. You'll see it in a bit, and that could be one of the zones that could hold still price to the upside, or by any chance, if that zone is broken and eventually this was as well, that's maybe when we may have actually opening the door to go much further down in this particular case. At this point, yes, this is maybe still a key zone that NASDAQ can still hold and then still push to the upside. If you do start breaking below that level, that can open the door for much more. Again, kind of have this trend line in here. Maybe it's something that can be used. The other one that from the beginning of or end of April, when it started this another leg to the upside in here, that has been broken, right? So that was broken right now. Just see how it is working here. Yeah, maybe it's whatever. Yeah, so that was broken right now, and let's see more of the continuation. Like again, another sell-off, just like on the S&P, we had a big sell-off happening yesterday in the last hours of the trading session, and I managed to break below this wall. So that was the rectangle the zone that I was talking about. Right, that was created after the break of that structure of those highs that I mentioned. Initially reacted from it, quite nicely, and now kind of reacting a bit more from the bottom of it. Again, we have kind of this demand zone that can be maybe useful, or then you start moving more to the downside, and that's maybe what we're going to have in here. Even if by any chance NASDAQ goes once again retesting this level, again, I'm still okay with the potential sell from that level. Like, that's a level that is still fresh, and that's a level that can still be used eventually when NASDAQ goes back to that level. So this is what we have. You may still start having this shift in the market. Maybe it's going to be a summer thing. Maybe it's going to be for this quarter. We'll see what may happen. But the reality is that the price action and what we could have started noticing, that's happening quite. It's working quite nicely in this particular case. Dow, just similar, all right? So we have kind of separated in between these two. Sometimes it's important to do that, but in reality, basically, all the compression goes all the way until there. It's kind of what you're looking for initially. But sometimes it's good to kind of actually separate the levels of compression, because if this level is still fresh, and it was, then it can hold, right? Because it hold it in here. So just to be aware of it and not to be surprised that, oh, okay, price just broke into compression, and I'm literally expecting already for price to, so after kind of price breaks into it, okay, next time price will just completely feel everything, right? No, if there is still levels, fresh levels in there, then we may still expect some reaction. Price can still go higher before eventually actually maybe filling the zone in here. And this is what we had on the Dow as well. Really good PI, really good price action there to look for that sell. Again, the highs, they were still kind of fresh in there as well. The zone on the left, it's also a good one. In there, it's also quite similar as well from the other two. Finally, because for example, even Dow has been the one leading completely, right? It broke completely this highs since even last year, and now kind of all of them, basically 3 of them, almost reacting from a similar zone, comparing with those highs back in the beginning of 2022. So this is what we have. Looking for price maybe to continue to go a bit lower. Again, big sell-off yesterday at the end of the session, and most likely we can maybe aim towards this level, right? And that's kind of a little bit of what you may be looking for. It's exactly maybe the approach towards this previous level of support resistance, which can be quite important in here. And it's going to be even more important if by any chance we actually kind of break into back to this to the range underneath that, which can then open even much more doors to the downside. But for now, this is a zone that can literally hold price and maybe push it higher. That's possible as well. Like we're going to be playing zone by zone and waiting to see how price actually is going to react then from the key levels that we have, to then decide if price actually is about to reverse again and kind of go to continue this bullish momentum, or by any chance it's actually kind of breaking into lower zones and starts opening literally the door to go much further down. So far, everything in here playing out perfectly on the Dow as well. And then we have DAX doing these kind of DAX things, like again, another all-time high, and then all of a sudden the big sell-off. Again, there's maybe still zones in there that price could react from eventually if it goes back to retest these highs. The only problem, at least for me, it's always anytime we kind of reacting from all-time highs, since there's nothing on the left, right? We have no idea exactly if there's always the risk of a new fake out in this particular case, whenever price goes back to that level. Meanwhile, in here, this was a nice little zone and structure that price has retested, not just in the London session, but then also again yesterday in the evening, just before another move to downside, and they may continue. There's maybe more room to go down in here. Price can actually maybe start aiming towards a little bit that level, and not just that. As we mentioned a few weeks ago as well, when this move happened, this is actually already, at least for me, kind of showing future indication that wants to go down. Like we literally broke that structure without touching this level in here. But there's literally a gap in there, and that's going to be filled eventually. So actually starts opening the door. Like any big sell can eventually actually have that momentum and closing this gap, or even then starting to go even farther down. Like that's why this low it's also important. It didn't play out immediately from here to the downside. No, it actually kind of created a new high, and that's totally okay. All right. The most important thing is that we are aware of this situation in here, and when kind of price is right and the moment is correct, then we maybe can take advantage of that. Right? At least you can aim towards that level eventually. So that's a little bit with the DAX. Right? And as you could see, when I mentioned before, in comparison to maybe look for to trade the dollar in this particular in this last week, especially kind of a little bit on beginning of the week. Comparing with the indices, like the indices kind of offered a much better opportunity in there. Like, and this is something that if you do have the chance to have maybe a bigger portfolio and look at different assets, pairs, that's something that like stock selection is important. That's basically what I want to say. To see maybe where actually the opportunities are that's going to provide you the best ones. Like for example, euro. This euro index in this case, it just literally stayed within its range all week. That's everything it did until yesterday finally moved to the upside. It retested this high, kind of retested that low, but that's everything that it did. It had these spikes in here up and down, but that was it. Right? That's basically it. And yeah, if that's the best opportunity that you can find, I don't believe so. So, euro index, second. So what we have in here, right? Price reacted from that level. So that was already kind of an engulf to the upside. We mentioned that as well. Right? That was maybe already price showing up. Initially kind of retested, and now finally starts breaking to the upside. At least took this high. We may get a little bit closer to that, or even the chance of getting a little bit more closer to that zone. If the euro dollar is finally kind of moving to the upside, let's see if that's going to happen. Maybe you can see maybe euro index also going a little bit higher, maybe before resuming the move to downside. I think there's maybe more room to downside on the euro index. However, it could have indeed this deeper retracement before maybe continue to go down. Like, where is the deeper retracement going to? Maybe this level, picking out this level, then eventually kind of going back into it. Yeah, so that's a little bit of where we'll be looking for. In this case, again, following price as well, to see if we start having lows or not being broken, and keeping moving on like that. And then we have the yen pairs. Like, there was a lot of volatility in here. That was mostly last week with the monetary policy meeting that I had. And something that was announced actually this week is the Bank of Japan that's going to start buying government bonds and 5 and 10 years yield, which is something that basically we saw last year, and something that we have been mentioning about. If the yen in this case continue to devalue, and the dollar yen, for example, gets close to that 145, they'll be doing that, right? So I think they released the statement. They will start doing it. It's going to be unnoticed, of course, right? So don't be surprised if eventually that's going to happen. The market reacted to it with this strong move to the upside, basically when those news came out. So that's kind of what you have, kind of a little bit of a correction. All the PA in here also, it was quite good. We kind of were looking already for price to get closer to this level. It actually missed it a little bit, but main point it was to look for the fake out of this low, and then we had the double low. We have the break off to the upside, then kind of the retest and go, and then even break now the next structure and the retest to the main zone. Like, every single thing in here, it's a beautiful PA for the reversal as well, that you can study and eventually try to predict and look for those kind of setups in the future. Natural target, of course, first level, it will be the reaction towards here. 1 second. Right, that's kind of what will look like the first zone to look for. And as a target. Kind of price already kind of bounced a little bit from there, and may just continue to move higher as well. That's totally okay. Like the level itself, it was good. DPI that it created, it was also good. So that's kind of a little bit of a bullish momentum that you can have. Of course, then you can aim a little bit more towards this level in here, which is kind of bringing back to this structure that that DN have as well. Like so, again, interesting. That's kind of what you're looking for last week. So now that happened, so let's see what are you going to have in here. So basically wait and see at this particular point in here. If you start aiming again closer to the downside, that's maybe when Bank of Japan may start doing something. Is if you start going back to this level in here, most likely maybe dollar yen is going to go upwards as well. So that's it in terms of what we are looking at these indices. Looking at the individual currency pairs like in the euro, yeah, like it was a little bit due the retracement. Like this was the Monday highs. I imagine that many of you are looking eventually for price to target them and look to the downside. Meanwhile, we were actually bearish. Like we've been looking for price actually to go below that level, and this is where kind of the same idea that I had on the dollar index, of maybe price going a little bit higher before actually moving to downside. That's kind of a little bit of the levels that I was looking for on the euro as well, before maybe moving to the upside. But price actually it reacted from a good zone in here. To be honest, within this within all this structure, it was literally from this demand zone in there. So it is literally a valid zone between this level, and then I was actually looking a bit lower into the NFP from last week, right? It's actually not last week, last month in July. That was actually where the euro reacted from, or kind of the move that happened on the euro after the NFP. Yeah, right. This was again a nice, really interesting price action that you can study in order to look for that trade, and then the move to the upside. So at this point, we are expecting still Monday highs, which most likely are going to take them, and then maybe can go back into this level once again. Like that's maybe something that we can see happening. Let's see exactly where this was may end up to, but we may see that taking this level and then kind of coming back into this range, which maybe can use this level again from the NFP and move higher, or by any chance actually finally then go down and make the final move, which is also a potential setup in here on the euro. Right? So a few possibilities that you can look for. Yes, meanwhile, breaking this highs may actually open the door to go a bit higher, but before actually follow through, we can actually go down first before then moving upwards. So we have maybe this level, maybe even in here, there's maybe still something to look for, and then maybe the zone a little bit underneath, as you mentioned, like during the last month's NFP, that price maybe could use in there. Yeah, because even in here with the NFP kind of price kind of pause a little bit, and maybe there's even this level that price could use. Yeah, but personally I'm not going to be looking for any more longs from these lows. I'll wait for price to get to the next level. So yeah, that's a little bit of what we have on the euro. Pound, similar with the interest rate decision that happened, 5.25 at this point. This was a good zone as well that it would make sense for price to bounce from. Like how this was compressed, basically price paused at its lows, and there was no this deep retracement which happened last Thursday. Like so, it's reacting from that level, and the move to the upside continuing in here. This was already kind of an engulf to the upside, so this is something that we're looking already eventually for price to fill all this compression. This kind of another break in there, and there you go. Interesting, the zone where it reacted on for the NFP, the spike that occurred in there into that zone, in alignment to that level, and now the continuation to the upside. Again, similar to the euro, kind of price pause a little bit within this level. There's maybe more room to the upside in here as well. So yeah, we'll see actually, because it's actually a daily zone, not mistaken. Yeah, but there's maybe more room to to the upside. Like interesting, it was an interesting move across on the pound. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, pound offered much better opportunity than the euro, for example, throughout the week until finally turn in there. Yep. Honestly, if we maybe start breaking above a little bit more this level, we may actually start aiming towards all the way until here, which then actually start aiming towards there. So we'll see actually how price is going to react from this level. To be honest, this zone in here. Yeah, we'll see about that. Euro pound just continues to go higher as well. Kind of a little bit. It may start going upwards. Again, it was a good level where it reacted in here. There was maybe the chance that price could still go a little bit lower, but this was a good level. So let's see if price eventually goes there, or if eventually even aim towards here. It's a lot of compression in here. This level can still be fresh as well. So we'll see. Like, it was the move to downside that happened during the interest rate decision as well. So we'll see. Aussie finally moving away from this initial range and moving to downside. Like after we created this double top, it was a bit expected that these walls wouldn't hold price anymore and price would aim a little bit more to the downside. Now, personally, I'm not even a big fan of almost anything that is inside here, so I wouldn't be surprised if actually Aussie may even go below these walls, maybe starting to go towards there or even a bit lower. So this was a nice reaction, retesting this level, right? If you have a correction here, reaction, and maybe you can follow and maybe start breaking that level in here, kind of as we mentioned. Like maybe this one, it was still at the demand zone, kind of that originated this move to the upside. So that already reacted from it. Now it found the next structure, and let's see. Again, in terms of price, if it wants to go higher, kind of this level kind of needs to be broken before that goes. Euro Aussie, it's approaching the highs. I'm looking for price also to take those highs. Kind of it reacted from, again, continuation setup. We broke structure, kind of reacted from the next level, and it may just continue to go higher. Bear in mind that we do have kind of this double top already in here, and there's even maybe a small zone above this high that price could still react from. So you can take this high but still respect a little bit the zone of the other high. However, bigger picture, we may start aiming even higher in here. But since it's this kind of a high time frame high, we may have a little bit of a reaction, move to downside after taking those levels, and eventually we may go out this compression and go all the way, maybe even towards there in here on the Euro Aussie. So let's see, we are approaching a really important level of structure in there. The N pairs, right? So just the same way that the yen index was kind of approaching a good level, getting close to a good level, dollar yen was also approaching finally a good level in here. Like we're looking for that move, interesting, and then kind of the fake out in there, like that happened. There my zone was a little bit higher, but okay, this level was good as well. That's basically inside there, again within the same structure, and that's basically what we have in there. Now this level has already taken this one, so everything basically in here has been taken, and price then can continue to move to the downside. I had a zone as well in there that price again missed it a little bit. Yeah, it never really retested that zone. Is just pausing there. Maybe for the future. Again, this level in here can be interesting for price to bounce from in here. So that's maybe the next level to look for on the end. Maybe can retest this level and then kind of resume to the downside in here. So that's something to keep an eye on. It looks like maybe a good level in there, and then we'll see if it kind of resumes to move upwards or eventually starts moving to the downside. Yeah, it looks kind of a good level. Right in there. Why not? Everything in here has been compressed, right? It's from this level, this kind of the zone in there. Yep, why not? Euro yen, again, really interesting. Like it reached the target from this move to the upside, kind of this origin in here at the top, at the highs. So that was done. That's kind of achieved in there. And we had a little bit of this structure. Price broke it, retested the zone, and kind of now navigating to the downside, respecting a little bit this level. But we may actually, there's maybe a chance for price to go all the way to that to the downside in here, just similar to the N index would go to the upside. We may still have even and then another move in here to the upside before maybe actually moving down. But this is maybe something to keep an eye on this euro yen as a potential zone to maybe fill out this in here. Yes, the structure, it was good. Price already reacted from it, so it may be a bit weaker in there. So price may actually then do that. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. On this euro yen, pound yen, similar, went all the way to the highs, and you'll see now what's going to happen, right? In here again, maybe retest that level, even maybe taking a little bit that, maybe before continuing to move to the downside. Again, it will be that level in there. So we'll see what's going to happen in here. But yeah, maybe good opportunities for the N pairs for this next week. Then you have CAD. CAD really made a good recovery. Like, so what we have in here, we talked about it. That was all the way since price was here, right? That was kind of our trigger to become bullish in here. Price went all the way down. Now it did spend quite a lot of time still within this range, breaking new highs, but then went all the way down into here. To be honest, in here I was looking for price to get a bit more in there, and then we finally had the momentum, right? This kind of what we call it a zone 2 type of a move. So then we finally had the momentum, we test and goes higher. Now this one in here, this is something that we looked already. This was a move to the kind of a break of that high. That was already something that we're looking for as an engulf upward. So expecting price to go higher, and not exactly to respect too much this level, even though it's still respected a little bit. But yes, the continuation to the upside. So that's exactly what we were waiting for during the NFP. And there you go. We had that fake out. This fake out is actually another engulf up. For the continuation, like, and maybe all of it in here is almost compressed. There was a level in there that price could still react from. It was fresh, zoom in, you can see it, but maybe all of this is almost compressed. Maybe pause in here, but yes, maybe this is the new target for this move to the upside on dollar CAD. So that's something maybe to keep an eye on. And another move that we have been talking so much, that I mentioned already a few times, is that so how does price moves in between levels, right? And in particular case, when kind of it breaks kind of an important high, and at the same time still wants to go higher, but something that it usually does is actually to take the highs and then to take the lows before then continue to the upside. Right? So we kind of target the lows, and it makes totally sense, because if you see, actually there is the demand zone is actually fresh in there. So everything in here was compressed, and the zone itself, it was still fresh in there. Like, that's something that you actually could have noticed in here. This is one zone above it, and then there's the zone below it in there, like below these walls, whatever. It can touch in there, can touch in here, whatever it may be. It's just below that. Like, so price hold all this time in here, finally break the highs, so gives indication where it wants to go next. But before that, makes all this retracement in here, and this is a particular move that happens when price does break the kind of some relevant high, would kind of give the trigger then to continue to go higher. Price is not going to create this kind of move every single time. Sometimes just break a high, kind of retest and go higher. There's a specific level, a specific zone that price tends to do that. Breaking a high, target some kind of lows, take the lows, and then kind of resume the move. So that's just a pattern as well that you can try to identify. Yeah, because this is easy to get confused, because you broke a high, you can, okay, commit, this is just a fake out, now breaks the lows, okay, I'm bearish, but then maybe this is not the moment to look for a sell. And I'm just saying that because this is already kind of the moment for the deep retracement. It's already happening here. This one was already breaking that one. So it's kind of, we are breaking this height for the second, third time already. Like that's more of a bullish momentum in here instead of looking for maybe deep retracement in here. Wait for the retracement, but then it's not the moment to look for maybe selling double tops. Basically what I'm saying in there. So maybe expecting a little bit more room to the upside on our card, with maybe the potential target being that level in there. So we'll see how it's going to play out in this case. We'll see. Euro card also moving to the upside in here, kind of continuation. Maybe can start targeting eventually going close to that level. Again, what I mentioned, kind of breaks an important high, just fake out structure and resumes the move higher. Maybe this was maybe the important high, gives the bullish momentum. And there you go. That one was taken already, taken, but this one's kind of still fresh a little bit in here. It's kind of maybe what price falls in there, maybe then next level, and you can start aiming a bit higher. So yeah, so that's basically a little bit of what we have, a little bit on Euro CAD as well. Now our front Swiss is finally getting into, at least for me, I'm starting to get interested in looking to trade it as well. Haven't really been that focused on it during all this move. This was a good level. So again, the reaction on the left side, as I mentioned several times, is actually into a good level. However, it's not really focused that much. And now that price is kind of starting to move up again and creating more PI, it starts to be interesting. Yeah, so we noticed that that move down in there and then kind of reacting above this level, in between in there. That was maybe a good zone to look for that sell. Price may still continue to go higher. Maybe can target a little bit these lows before maybe moving to the upside. So we'll see. On the other hand, it's kind of gives well support resistance in here, so it may actually be relevant for having that deep retracement, if not even the continuation afterwards. Right, so it's not a bad zone. That's basically also what I want to mention here. So yeah, let's not fight a good level. Gold, yeah, haven't really focused much on gold in this case. Again, the range, right? Now we are in there. We had the spike during the NFP. Okay, reacted from that structure. It can still maybe go a little bit down. It can go higher. Like it's literally kind of in the middle. They haven't really found that many opportunities. Again, spend a lot of days trading just within this range until we had the spike yesterday. These ones in here at the top, they were good. Also silver as well, but kind of provided a similar zone like that. But aside from it, now in the middle, not really interested. That was actually the only time that I was looking a little bit at gold. And maybe if price gets closer to the lows, maybe that's when I'm going to be looking at gold as well. Or if price gets closer to the highs, that's where I'm going to be looking at gold as well. Anything in between, not really focused that much on gold. Oil, oil actually provided one of the best trades of the week, or kind of the moves that we are looking for, which is this sell-off in here. Was something that we are looking for, like that compression towards the zone itself, and it exactly reacted from that level with a nice PA, already breaking the lows even before it gets there. It took this level, and all of a sudden you have the sell, and price just reached the target, and that was it. Right? This was kind of a setup. We identified in the beginning of the compression, we identified that price is literally starting to lose momentum. It starts breaking the highs in here, it continues, it finally kind of fakes out, it reacts from a good level in there, and all of a sudden you have maybe your trigger to look for that sell, and there you go. We have the trade. That was it. Like, it doesn't mean that I was expecting oil to go back to 70s or to completely cross correct all these upwards move. No, literally the target was the completion of this compression, or kind of the beginning of this compression. That was it. Done. If you identify this level, again, it may take a few days to complete. We start actually noticing it at around the 25th, 26th, like we saw this separation here. We start noticing that price was holding these lows. That's it. You have your compression. Now there's ways to trade this level, this zone in here, this approach. It need to be cautious and so on. Like it's a different type of opportunities that there are in here, but until eventually you get to the level that you want for. Like we have kind of start breaking, we just wait for it, and then there you go. It takes basically from the 25th, basically 1 week to complete, in order to then have 1 day to do the opposite move. Like 1 week, 1 day. It's basically what happened in here. And if you identify those levels, that this type of opportunities, they will be one of your best trading setups that you'll have in here. Price now is reacting still from the highs. That may be the possibility of going a bit higher. Let's see if it breaks this range or not. Of course, next structure retesting this level in here is going to be key to see if it's going to resume to move to the upside, or if you do break below that level, maybe then you can actually use this level as a structure to look for another sell after price breaks below this structure, right? So it's going to be interesting to see if oil is going to actually respect those highs and break below this level. If it does, then we can start aiming again back towards to this zone in here. Trading box, man, how are you, man? Long time no see. I've been yeah, oil. It's going to be interesting. It's another one that can keep falling. It's good to keep track on. I've been trading more oil than gold, for example, these last weeks. Yeah, because I'm enjoying the moves on oil in here. And there you go. Let's see exactly how it's going to move in there. We do break below this level, then we may go there. Have you been active, trading box? I can see, man. Every 2-3 days I'm getting notifications of your of updates, man. Are you doing it because you are getting requests for it, or you are just non-stop looking for ways to improve the tool? What's your thought process on that? Because one thing is, if you are obsessed with it and trying to always keep it improving, yeah, man, you can literally spend all your life trying to make it better. And you users want improvements. Fair enough. Yeah, man. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Again, the tool, I don't know when was the last time I updated, to be honest. I do need to update it again. Maybe the last 2-3 versions I haven't updated it yet. But yeah, if that's something that you guys want, fair enough. Fair enough. Because otherwise you don't even have time to trade, man. You need to find a balance in there. Either kind of keep waiting for recommendations for everyone, and maybe in 3 months time, then you spend maybe 3 weeks working on those, and then kind of pause again, and then kind of every quarter you kind of spend a little bit of time trying to focus on those improvements or updates. In this case, it's updates, like it's not even improvements of the tool. You're making updates of news options. All right. Yeah, good long. So you catch the move to the upside with the NFP. That's good. That's good. Yeah. So oil is going to be actually an interesting one. If that high still holds, yeah. Again, it breaks inside this level again. That can be an interesting one to look at in here. Because it kind of already broke slightly below the structure even before going there. That's usually kind of a good sign. If you start breaking lows before even making this move and actually respecting it, that's can be a good sign of already indicating something like this to happen. If you kind of create a little bit of a range in here, go up and down, and kind of then go down in here, yeah, maybe this level can be used, and maybe we can start doing something like this. So we'll see. We know that oil sometimes do like to range or kind of create these double bottoms or tops. So we'll see. Looking at this high in here, we did kind of still respected that level in there. We don't really have any left shoulder exactly in alignment with in here, even though there's that level still fresh. You'll see in here, like we have literally the last supply in there that was still, damn it, that in there. Yeah, right. So this level in here is literally still fresh. This level in here, they never really touch it. So that was a good reaction from it. Yeah, we'll see now what's going to happen. Yeah, that can provide maybe a good setup in there. Moving on. So which one was it then? You mentioned yesterday. Exactly during the news, or because the KM I was looking, the KM that kind of stand out to me, it was more on on Thursday. This was the zone. I don't even want to share what happened in here, and my change of bias to look to downside. I literally predicted all the potential setups that I was looking for in here, to then not executing it because I kind of changed my bias because of the dollar index, because I didn't like the highs. I was looking dollar index to make another high before the turn, and then yep, why not looking actually at euro, another turn in there, and which then I missed out on the move. Yeah, Thursday. Yeah, Thursday makes totally sense. Yeah, that was it. This well, right? I don't even know if you trade that one, but this was in here. It's happened so many times that they do this. I think we should create this level into this level that is still fresh. Finally break the highs, and there are so many different entries in here. In here and there, right? They provided so many. That's not often that you're going to do that. Sometimes they do create this level, right? But then as soon as it breaks this, just continues to go higher. You don't really have this retracement every single time into there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah, it was a good setup, indeed. I didn't like that much, honestly. Yesterday, the NFP didn't even spike that much into at least to retest this level before the move up. It just decided to stay in here. Fair enough. The move to the upside kind of has already been confirmed, also the break of those size and so on, but I was looking for more deep of a move, not so much to just stay in the middle. Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, nice nice little move in there. Crypto. This one created a new low. Bitcoin actually finally retested a little bit from this level. This is kind of where if by any chance, yeah, this could be the zone to maybe look for a long. In reality, there's just one thing that I don't like, which is actually where the high reacted from. It actually makes total sense in here. Like, if I was about to evaluate this trade alone, this for me could be kind of as a target. Therefore, is actually, since this actually kind of a break of the structure, this could make totally sense if by any chance price will just continue from here, because of the level itself where it reacted from. It's perfect. It's just perfect. Just the level itself is just perfect. Which may create more bearish momentum here. If this high maybe just had taken this one, kind of reacted from here and go down, that will make me more bullish. If price may actually change, kind of by any chance, if it has taken this level, to make me more bullish as well. In here, it's really good where it reacted from. So yeah, it's something to just keep an eye on. We do have kind of now these left shoulders in there, so that reaction there, it was good. That level was literally left behind. So now it's reacted from it, and maybe you can actually react from here, and there you go, and move on. Like that's still my favorite, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. Even when price was still in here, what I would like to see in here is literally price kind of to break below that level, in this case now this low, and then kind of retest this level before making that move to the downside. Like that has been always my favorite potential setup in here on BTC, in terms of looking then for price to eventually sell somewhere in there, right? And I mentioned also last week that maybe this could be a good low to actually have that will happen, right? Because it actually breaks as an important zone in there, so it opens the road to the downside, could retrace before going there. Yeah, but maybe price didn't really want to go there, just in here and move to the downside. So that's something to keep an eye on. Now we do have left shoulder, like these levels in here. This is something that Bitcoin loves it, to use it, right? So we literally created all this structure, and we literally spiked below that, and maybe from here we can maybe have that move to the upside. So there's still maybe potential setup in here to look for a long opportunity. Yep, we do have that. Yeah, I agree with you on the euro. Because price left that zone behind. That's true. That's true. Yeah, man. Yeah, BTC can be an interesting one. Can be an interesting one. Ethereum kind of respected the low as well. It never really managed to go much farther away from it. It did manage to take this low, like that was something that we already looked for. Now it managed actually to take that low, even though kind of still respecting this level. Again, Ethereum would be totally okay if you do have a deep retracement before maybe the move to the downside. Totally okay with it. And as I mentioned also in Ethereum, maybe it's not even that high, but can even go to this high. So there's literally still maybe two levels that price can still react from, aside from even this one. But I wouldn't be really looking for anything in there. And that's a lot of compression in here. So yeah, again, this level kind of still needs to be broken a little bit before anything. And just to look at. So yeah, just keeping an eye on it. I prefer more at this point Bitcoin than Ethereum itself in terms of looking for longs. It's a bit tricky in here. Of course, maybe the destination for a move downside for now could be maybe retesting this level or moving. We'll see. You'll see. Do you trade the crypto trading box? Is it something that you look at? Solana as well is retesting this key level that we have been looking for. So even when price was still in here, I did mention that breaking this highs, it wouldn't make me bullish, because this level for me is the most important one. And breaking this high will maybe make me bullish, and maybe looking then for price to maybe feel this compression and go all the way until there. Breaking this highs and reacting from there, it's actually kind of a natural move to look for. Next level, of course, it will be the retest of it. So this is the question mark now, is what price you're going to do from here. Is it going to break it? Maybe start opening doors to go further down, and of course maybe retest first and then moving down, maybe trading somewhere in there. Yeah, if it keeps holding and by any chance now again starts to gain momentum, then you may go higher, or at least fake out this level and then maybe do something in there. Like for me, it's kind of a key level in here on on Solana. One other point is just something that I don't like is I don't really like anything in here. Maybe that level okay, or kind of something in here okay, but if price kind of starts going a little bit higher, I could see eventually even price taking this high, still reacting from maybe something inside here before moving down. But yeah, not really sure if I'll be looking for kind of a double top setup in here. I don't really like anything. I don't think there's nothing left in there. I think you may have to fake out of that high. So that's just something to look at as well. But yeah, BTC. Take this high. Actually, a single one of them. Taken. Okay, that one maybe it's an engulf upwards of that level. Yeah, something to keep following. Maybe. I'm really concerned about this high. This is a really good target. Where it reacted from. Alright. That's it for me, guys. Anything else? Yeah, we reviewed. Let's see if Euro is going to continue to go higher, or is going to just take the highs, the Monday highs from last week and kind of reverse the downside. Or this is actually kind of a little bit of the bottom and maybe start seeing some bullish momentum on the euro, the opposite on the dollar. Indices, those are going to be quite interesting as well, to continue to see if we're going to have a continuation to the downside in here. Like the PA and everything has been quite interesting. NASDAQ in particular, to see how price is going to react from here, if it breaks that level or not. That can be a key level after all this structure that we have from here, and here, kind of reacting a little bit. If by any chance you break below that, you may have to go further down, or you can even retest that first. It's going to be a key level, or if this is the continuation to the upside from this particular zone, and price continues to go higher. Yeah, oil as well, an interesting one. So yeah, looking ahead for next week, Bitcoin as well, to see what's going to happen from these walls. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Trading Box. Continue to do the great work we are doing. The tool is amazing. I love it. I'll keep using it. So yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you next Saturday. Bye bye. Thank you. Obrigado.